Know this. Introducing the original blood clot podcast, not players. Soothing Semantics. Special dedication all the way from New York. Boom. Yeah, man. SWOT Semantics. Yeah, me know. Boom. Soothing Semantics. Yeah, me know. Big ups to the man. Soothing Semantics.
On another day of the Soothing Semantics podcast, I'm your host, Rafi Pinsky. Today on the show, we have Larissa. How's it going, Larissa?
Pretty good. Kind of hot, but good.
Okay. You prefer to go to a snow day?
I would right about now because it's been really hot in Florida. So I would definitely take just one snow day. I don't need a lot of snow days.
It's like verbatim from the last
But I'll take one. I'm very good at remembering my own words.
All right, so you know what, we'll just tell them. We started doing like 5 minutes of recording, and then I realized the camera wasn't recording, so we're like, all right, we're just doing this. We're doing this over. So basically, yeah, I mean, I would go back to New York for a couple of days, but like I said 5 minutes earlier, I'm not going to sit there and scratch off my car. I'll take the hot weather any day.
And honestly, I wouldn't either, just because I've lived in New York, and I've gone through the cold, and I literally am only asking for one day. Like, just one day. Just one day.
You can pay for that at this point. You can go to your house and just pay. You can, I don't know, drop some snow on your balcony.
Are you serious?
You can pay anyone to do anything these days.
Okay, you have a point.
Sit on your
I didn't
balcony.
think about that.
Sit on your balcony. Have someone bring a snowblower. Put on a snow jacket. You seem like the type that would go out of your way to do that. If you really,
You are so right about that.
If you were really in that, like, if you were really in that zone and you needed it, you can pay somebody to do it. They'll do it.
But this is my issue, though. New York is a vibe, okay? It's a winter vibe that no matter how much snow blowing you have in Florida, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. It's like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna like blow snow over here in my balcony. That's gonna literally melt in less than 5 minutes. I
love how we're even talking about this.
Because of the heat, and it's gonna be done. Like, no. Yeah. I will go back to New York in the wintertime for it.
Yeah, I'm hoping you don't actually do that.
I just came back from it, so trust me, I probably will.
Yeah.
I love going to New York for short periods of time.
It's so different than when you grow up there. I love it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've spoken about New York on my first episode. I'm going to talk about it more. My friends are probably like, we get it, dude. You moved to Florida. Congratulations. I love New York. I do. All right? I like Florida. I like New York. I'm not hating on it. It's nice to visit, and I'm going to go back. Definitely. I want to go back in the wintertime because it's nice. It is nice.
And it's different when you go back as a tourist and not as someone that lives there. Like, for example, for me, Florida, it's where I live. It's not where I want to play. You know, everybody comes to South Florida. They're like, oh, my God, the beaches. And, oh, my God, South Beach and Miami Beach and Fort Lauderdale. I'm like, nah, girl. Do you know the traffic that it's like driving through these places during the week when you have to work, even during quarantine? But I don't drive.
Right. You don't drive?
No, I take the subway.
Oh, New York, that's true.
I love the subway. There's subways, which there's none here.
That's true.
You know, here if you don't drive, your life sucks because if you're literally just standing at a bus stop, you're a weird person, or they think you're homeless.
That's so true.
Yeah,
that's so accurate. That's what I thought when I moved here. I'm like, why don't they have cars? Do they have a home? Do they have a bed to sleep in?
Immediately, your brain just switches.
Because everyone has a car here. You can't. The transportation here is terrible.
And in New York, you see people driving. You're like, you're a moron. Why don't you just take the subway? It's so much faster.
It's so funny. It's the exact opposite.
Like, it takes you so much longer to drive to get somewhere than if you just take the train. Jump from the Q to the R to the 1, 2, 3. You know, go to Penn Station, Grand Central, Metro North. I love going up north.
You have a totally different experience. I lived and breathed this for my entire life. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome. You have to appreciate it because you can get from one part of the city to the other 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I mean, depending on where you go, but like max an hour and a half, and you're pretty much, it's unbelievable.
Exactly. But like I said, it's a matter of perspective. For you, it's different because you grew up there. So you're just like, I'm sick and tired of this. I love it, but I don't want to be here. For me, Florida was always like, since I moved here, he was like, yeah, this is great, but not. I have to drive everywhere.
But you would leave if you could? Like, you would move to New York?
Honestly, it's going to sound like such a weird answer, but for me, if I had zero interest in raising a family and having kids and all this family ideals that I have, I would totally live in New York. Just work 24/7 and blow money. Like, that's what I think about when I think about, like, if I would live in New York. Because to me, the amount of dough that you have to spend to be able to kind of keep a nice life is so much more than down here.
True.
Down here, rent is not $2,000.
The cost of living. Well, the cost of living is much lower. How was the subway system in Brazil? They have one?
Yes. So I'm from Rio.
Okay.
And like we talked about 5 minutes ago,
Right.
I was born in Rio de Janeiro.
I said it right the last time. I'm going to say it right again. Hold on. Give me a minute. Do it again.
Rio.
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 Rio. Rio de Janeiro.
Very good.
Rio de Janeiro.
Janeiro. Very good. That was even better than the first time.
There you go. Then this recording is better than the last one. See that? Guys, do it twice, sometimes 3 times. It always works out. So if you got to do it 100 times, no. But we both have things to do. So luckily, we caught it 5 minutes in.
Yes.
So yeah.
So in Rio, yes, we have subways, we have trains, we have taxis, we have buses. So to me, when I went to New York for college, which is where I went to college, where I graduated from, it was so at home. It just felt at home to what I grew up in. Subway system, just even the warmth, because people in Florida, or a lot of other states, they're like, oh, New Yorkers are rude. And I'm like, no, they're practical. Stop trying to talk to them during rush hour when they have shit to do. Like, it is so unreasonable for you to expect them to literally stop, because I feel that there you appreciate so much more the fact that time is money.
In a sense, I can counter that, and I hear what you're saying, because people are so focused on maximizing time as far as work is concerned. But I also think that hardworking Floridians, because there are hardworking Floridians,
oh, absolutely,
they know how to take time off of work and chill, whereas New Yorkers are always on the move.
See, I had a different, I think, once again, it goes back to experience. For me, I just always had such a good time going to New York, even when I was living there. I remember graduating, and I was walking around in the subway. Everybody would stop and congratulate me that I was graduating. There was this person that yelled out from the 10th floor of a building, congratulations, which, if you ask me, for graduating, because I was walking around my cap and gown. I was going towards Madison Square Garden, because that's where my graduation was.
That's awesome.
And here, I never got that. And not only that, if you stop somebody to ask for directions here, people are like, put it on Google. Like Waze or whatever else. I don't have time. Which, yes, they know how to vacation here, because this is a vacation state. But I feel as far as the warmth of people living life, I get that a lot more when I'm in New York, just because you see more people and have so many more interactions during your day than personally for me in Florida. I mean, there are other people that, because of their job, or if you live in Miami even, because Miami, there's a lot more foot traffic than Palm Beach County, so it's just a different vibe. And when I went to college there, it reminded me of Rio because of that. It reminded me of the warmth and going into the subway. Definitely safer though, because unfortunately where I grew up, it was just a dangerous place to be. And part of the reason why my family decided to migrate to the U.S. was the violence. It was just, and I vividly remember the last day of school, and I think I was in the 4th grade. And usually the last day, we will go to school to play soccer. That's what we do. And it was just it was crazy, because I woke up, my mom was like, oh, do you want to go to school? And I was like, no, I don't think I want to play soccer today, because I used to play a lot. When I was in elementary school. And that day, my bus stop was in the front of a police station. And the group that controlled the drug point for that area blew up that police station with grenades.
Holy shit.
So
you don't see that in New York.
Exactly.
Or Florida. That's just not a thing. That would be on the news for years.
Exactly.
It's not a common. No, it doesn't happen.
So to me, that was one of the moments that, looking back at it, it justified 16 years of being undocumented in America from, just continuing to live in an environment that literally drives your cortisol levels to be high 24/7. And the sad part is that's so common that it becomes your norm. That feeling of apprehension and fear becomes your daily living. You're constantly worried. If you walk in the street, your purse is always to the front. You don't really check your phones in the street. You know how like people cross the street on their phone?
Stupidest
or
thing
when
in the
you
world.
are, well, absolutely. But aside from that, you're in the mall and you're on your phone. You're in the supermarket and you're on your phone. You can't do that there because you're almost like 95.555599999% chance that you're going to get robbed. That's like the statistic.
It's that high.
It's that high.
Damn.
My aunt has gone through I don't even know how many cell phones. And one time she was in the bus and her window was open and somebody just literally just snatched.
I saw that, by the way. I saw a documentary on pickpocketers in Brazil. And
they're the real
literally
MVPs. I'm gonna tell you, they are talented.
They got skills.
Yes.
I saw that. I saw a video like you're telling me. I saw this happen. Somebody's on a bus. The window's open. They have their phone. Or it was either a phone or a pair of headphones. Some kid just jumps up and just snatches it and runs away. And I was like, whoa.
They're ninjas.
Crazy.
And you don't even hear them coming.
I feel like they practice in their room.
They
you know what I mean?
absolutely
Like
do.
they jump and they go like this.
It's like basketball practice, and it was just nuts because that's what I grew up with. And when you're a child and you get literally conditioned to that kind of situation, you get out of it later, you put so many other things in context, like, oh my God, how is this the norm? So I lived in Brazil until I was 11. I grew up in one of the toughest favelas there is in Rio, which is a Complexo do Alemão. I couldn't go outside to play. I couldn't really go outside by myself. And it was hard, like, to be quite honest. But my parents and my family did a very good job at still providing us a childhood. I mean, Brazilian culture, you're super tight. So we're always at my grandma's house. I was always with my cousins. We were always eating together. Birthdays are together. My mom is actually she has a master's in chemistry. So she was a professor in one of the top universities in Rio. And my dad worked very, very hard. So they always try to provide us the best in the conditions that we were in. So when we came here, it was like, we're going to go to Disney. And I was like, oh my God, Disney.
Right.
Which, by the way, I didn't go to Disney until I was 17.
I went the first time at 18.
So
That was my first time on a plane, by the way.
So you get it.
Yeah. And it was still incredible for me. Like I was 18 years old and I was like, wow, look at this.
It was magical.
I went with my friend and my friend, his brother, and his parents, and I felt like a 6-year-old.
Yes.
It was incredible. I loved it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the second time around, it was not as magical. Because the second time I went to Disney was with I was graduating from law school and my family was visiting to go to my graduation from Brazil. And I was like, oh, let's go to Disney because they'd never been. Mm-hmm. And after I was done, I was like, I'm not coming here until I have a 7-year-old that can get lost and find its way back home because this is nuts.
Right.
I'm an immigration attorney. So
that makes sense.
Being in that field, coming from the background that I came from, it's just mind-blowing. And even what you said about the media, I think back when my family came, all you really had was movies. Movies about America. All the movies were here. So you have this idea of what American life is from the movies. You have the mom, the dad, the big brother, the little sister, the golden retriever, like we talked about before, the white picket fence. That's what movies used to show. Mm-hmm. And okay, you could still kind of rationalize it's just a movie. But nowadays, with the media, what it has become, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, you have all these people that get to express, be it not the truth, their perspective of whatever is. And people are almost desensitized to thinking, well, but this is only what they're showing. You don't really know what they're going through their day to day.
I say this all the time, by the way.
And it's insane because I feel like 2020 has showed us this the most about almost the damage that social media does and the media in general.
Fucking accurate.
You know?
I just want to add to this. So accurate. And I think relationships are suffering from this because
absolutely.
Say you have Bill and Jill and they're doing all right financially. They're living a nice life. They have a lot of things to be happy for. But then they see, you know, Juanita and Hidalgo. I'm just coming up with random ass names. And Juanita and Hidalgo are going on vacation after vacation. Juanita's fit as hell. Hidalgo's fit as hell. They're going on all these trips. He's holding her up and carrying her on his shoulders, and they're on these lakes and ponds and kayaking and this and that.
Yes.
And Bill and Jill are just like, damn it, why we can't do that. Meanwhile, Juanita and Hidalgo
hate each other.
They're at like the brink of breakup, but they've already posted 800 pictures on Instagram, and they just gotta keep it going because, like, what happens if they break up?
Yes.
And like people are like, it can't be. It's too perfect. It's not necessarily like
It's
that.
not.
It's not. So what I mean is, people with awesome Instagrams, people who are dating that doesn't mean things are going badly.
Right.
But it
Doesn't
also
mean their
doesn't
life
mean
is
they're
perfect.
exactly. So people are. It's such a competitive
Yes.
thing, right? And just
It's
shut
exhausting.
it off. Just shut that shit off and go live your life.
It is
Straight
so
up.
exhausting.
You don't have to compete. You just go on your vacation. You want to post pictures, do it. I'm not knocking on people
Yeah,
posting
of
pictures.
course.
Do whatever the fuck you want. But don't assume that their life is better than yours just because they're
Yes.
better at Instagram. Like maybe you just don't know how to make an Instagram sexy.
You haven't figured out the algorithm.
Who cares? I'll admit, like, sometimes I'll look and I'll see like this dude's Instagram. He's got like 500,000 followers, and he's like, you know, he's doing this and this and this and that, and I'm like, I'll look for a second and be like, oh, that'd be kind of cool if and then I'm like, shut up, Rafi. Like, your fucking life is fine, dude. Like, go do what you need to do.
Yes.
And it's so many people I feel like have that. I'm so glad you brought that up because it's so much. I don't think about it that often, but when I do, it really makes me think.
It's so real. Like, it's
Oh,
such
yeah.
a real issue because, like I said, when my family came, actually, like, let me date myself. You know, back when I graduated from high school, I was 17. So, well over 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even have this problem with social media because Facebook did not even exist. We have MySpace, okay? And even then, it wasn't something that you were rubbing your life into everybody's face
It was
because
so much smaller of a thing.
no, you're just posting stupid reposts about, you know, figuring out if your best friend is really your best friend in case they know what's in your fridge. It was so basic and it was almost harmless at that point, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then today, there's this pressure. And I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, Larissa, do you care about your social media? And I was like, honestly, for my business, because I own my own firm, my own law firm. For my business and for the market that we are in today, I have to care. I have to put out marketing. I have to put out research. I have to put out information. I have to put out content. I have to.
You have to.
It
You
is
have to.
the, you know, it's the nature of the beast.
You have to stay relevant as much as you don't want to.
Exactly.
Same with me with the podcast. You have to, and at the end of the day, there's a beauty to that. But you can't get sucked in.
You cannot.
You have to, like, for me, I'm going to speak for myself here.
Mm-hmm.
I know you agree, but like, it's do it to maximize your. Oh, I'm not telling anyone what to do. Do whatever the hell you want. For me, I don't care to have a big following on Instagram.
Right.
I care to have one if it can benefit my business.
Right.
If it can get me what I need it to do for me.
Right.
But as far as just getting the attention, as far as just having cool pictures and all that,
Yes.
I couldn't care less.
Nope.
Right? So if I didn't need to have that Instagram or I didn't need to have that Facebook account,
I wouldn't have it.
I wouldn't have it. Exactly. Same.
Absolutely. And I was explaining to somebody, I was like, you know,
You just kept me hanging.
from I literally, for a second, I thought about standing up and I was like, no, social distance. I'm not going to get that close to your face. But I was telling them, honestly, for business purposes, I have to do it. And it's funny because my one of the members of my team, Anna, she knows that I hate doing like the posting thing. And every now and then when I have to do a picture about something that's going on in the office, I'm like, Anna, it's that time. And she's like, it's okay. You know, we have, like, it's okay. And I'm like, I know, but it's like, come on. But then as far as like my personal page, listen, I have tons of pictures, tons. But I even was explaining to this friend of mine, I was like, the reason why I do it has nothing to do with the attention that I get from it. Because I don't care how many likes I get. At the end of the day, when I look at that picture, I'm not going to cry if 100 people didn't like it. Or if this person or that person. Because I literally, specifically my Instagram, I see it as a footprint so that I can show my kids later on. Like literally an album of pictures of different stages of my life that I can show it to my kids, grandkids later about where their grandma was in her life. Regardless of how many likes, regardless of who saw it, regardless of the comments. Because my identity as a human being is not attached to the likes of my Instagram page.
You can't lose that way. With that mindset, you can't lose.
You know, because then you're so detached from, oh my God, I wonder who saw my stories. Oh, how many people reacted? Or how many people liked it? Or how much this, or even the need. Like, I have a need to post. No, I don't have a need to post at all. I could literally go weeks without posting a picture or without having to add a story. I don't care. And the people that I care about their quote unquote opinion, I will ask them for it. The people that I might even considering like caring about their validation for my actions, I will sit down and talk to them face to face, eye to eye. And I don't need to send subliminal messages through my, you know what I mean? It's just
damn straight.
It's okay to not do it.
Yeah.
It's okay to be a real person with real feelings.
You're gonna hurt a lot of feelings today.
Oh,
that's
listen.
Good.
And if you ask my friends,
do it.
I'm the type of person that, listen, I will never do anything to purposely hurt somebody. But at the same time, if you ask me for the truth, I'm going to tell you my version because that's the only thing I have. I respect and I consider what others tell me and how others feel. But at the same time, if it doesn't make sense for me in my day-to-day life, I'm like, sorry, bro, I don't have to live according to that. I don't have to fill this box. And that is actually something that I had to learn being an immigrant in this country, because I was an immigrant. I was undocumented. I was a female. I mean, you check all those minority boxes and you have to figure out how to step out of the box. And when I was going through school and I got to my senior year and I was battalion captain of one of the top, naval ROTC units of the country. I was on the top of my class. You cannot wait for an opportunity. You just cannot. You literally, unless you prepare yourself, even if so-called opportunity was in your face, you wouldn't be able to use it. You wouldn't be able to enjoy it. You wouldn't be able to grasp it because you have no idea what to do with it, because you have not prepared yourself for it. And at 17, I was so mad. I was so angry. And one of the reasons why I decided to be an attorney was because when we first got here, we were going to apply for asylum because of a specific case that my dad had back in Brazil that involved the federal police and all this stuff. But we had an attorney who was licensed, but didn't care about people, took our money, didn't file our case, and here we are, undocumented, no papers, no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. We're stuck in the situation. And by the time I was 16, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be an immigration attorney. So in my power, what can I do to achieve that goal? And I will never forget it. I was talking to my counselor. And in the immigrant community, a lot of people are like, don't talk about your status. Don't tell people what you are, who you are. because you feel ashamed. You feel ashamed of being documented. You feel ashamed of your story. And I remember I was like, I don't care. This is a fact. I don't have a green card. I am not a U.S. citizen. I don't have a social security number. But those things do not make me any less of a human being than what I am.
Of course.
So I remember talking to my counselor. I was like, I don't have a social. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I don't have papers. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I need help. And she literally sat there with me. And shout out to Miss Kessler. Because she was just one of the best things that happened to me as a teenager, and especially at that juncture of my life, along with Dr. McKee, Commander Bingham, Chief Morales. They were such a driving force in my school environment to validate the fact that I was still human regardless of my status. And she went in. She looked for every single scholarship that did not require a social security number, which most people don't even know they exist.
She went above and beyond.
Completely above and beyond. But this is the thing. Had I not told her, there was no way for me to receive that opportunity, right?
So
for me to take that.
So often people don't want to go that extra. They don't want to take that leap because they're embarrassed of what other people might think.
Exactly.
And you just were like, screw it. You push past that wall and you're like, because I need to get certain things done.
Absolutely.
I'd rather just be honest and straightforward and get what I need and cut out all the bullshit. And you did that, and look where it got you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's
so
the thing.
Easier.
People sometimes think that bullshitting will get you what you need or less embarrassment. Embarrassment, the feeling of embarrassment is up to you, not to others. Like, you are the one that feel embarrassed. But why are you feeling embarrassed? Why are you feeling ashamed? Once you deal with that, the truth is so much easier. Because literally the truth will set you free. Straight up.
Yeah.
You know? And I remember she did all the research. I literally got every single one of those scholarships.
Wow.
And then she came up to me and she was like, Larissa, there's a school in New York. It's a private school. And I think you should go to their open house. They're going to be down here in Florida. Why don't you talk to them? And I'm like, in my head, at 17, I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do this. Like, why am I going to go do this? Why am I going to go there? Because it's a private school. I'm probably not going to have enough money to, like, pay for it. All these things. But because of what my dad ingrained in me, it was just like, you know what? I don't have anything to lose.
You didn't.
You
had
know?
nothing to lose at that point.
Exactly. Like, please. You literally get to that point that either shit or get off the pot, you know? Just do it. So I went, and I remember watching the presentation, and it was the owner of the school, the president of the school, and the vice president. And they did this whole entire presentation. And afterwards, I went up to the president and the vice president. I was like, this is my resume. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I don't have a green card. I don't have a social.
You just went up there and told her.
Oh, completely. And I was like, and I'm not sure I even have the money to pay to attend your school. But here's my resume. So now you have everything. And I remember.
They were probably shocked, by the way, because most American students, they have like 10 times more qualifications. You know, they're citizens. Their dad was an alumni or whatever it is, and they have this and they have this and they have that, and you're just like, listen, dude.
Exactly.
This is what I don't got. This is what I do. Okay? Here's the resume. I'm going to get into this school. Look at it. And they're like, shit, you know? And then they hear the backstory, probably, the whole, I mean, I'm sure you told.
At that point, I didn't tell them. I just told them, like, straight up, I don't.
You just laid everything
I
out.
was just like, listen, I don't have papers. I probably can't pay. But here I am because I have nothing to lose. And they saw, I mean, like I said, for a 17-year-old, pretty accomplished in 7 years in America. Even from middle school, I had already won presidential awards and things like that. And my dad was always so strict about, you need to learn English. And then you need to learn every other language that you can learn.
Do you speak more than two?
Yes.
What else do you speak?
I speak fluent Spanish, and then Portuguese, English, Spanish, and I can read and understand Italian and French.
Wow.
I haven't had enough, like, practice speaking as much, but I understand it pretty well.
Wow. Yeah, for me, it's just Hebrew and English.
Hebrew is very hard.
Yeah.
So that already counts for a lot.
For sure. I mean, it's not perfect because I learned it in... I grew up in a Jewish private school, so I knew how to read and write kind of the older Hebrew, kind of the biblical Hebrew. So it helped me tremendously when it came to learning it. But a lot of American Jews don't speak the actual language.
No, they don't.
So when I went to Israel and I joined the army there, I pretty much didn't know shit. So I learned the whole language in a year and a half. Right. I mean, they just shove it down your throat. So I'm not 100% perfect with it, but I can it's good. Like I can say I'm bilingual, you know, and it's like, by the way, you realize how much a difference it makes when you speak at least 2 languages. Your brain is different.
Oh, the way that your brain functions in general is just different. And I think it even affects how you interact with the world around you. Because when you immerse yourself in the language, it's not just the language, it's the culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it completely opens your horizon for like, oh my God, my bubble is not the only bubble in the universe. Mind blown.
Right. And then you learn more and you can learn more languages easier.
Yes.
It's easier to learn more languages.
Absolutely.
It's just your brain takes a shift. It's so cool that you know all these languages.
Especially because all of these languages were Latin based. So because the Latin based and because I knew the Portuguese first, it is so much easier to learn Spanish, French, and Italian once you learn Portuguese.
They all kind of intertwine in a way.
The roots.
Right.
The root is very, very, very similar. So that was like super, super easy. And my dad was like, listen, you need to speak these languages because in the future, this will make you so much more marketable. Like, that's what you want.
And he was right. That's no question.
Oh, absolutely.
I wish. See, Spanish I really need to learn.
Well,
especially here.
I was about to say, you're down here now. You're going to learn it.
Yeah.
You have no choice almost.
You know what, though? If I'm really stubborn and lazy, I can easily go without it.
Well,
but if I get out there, especially because the people I work with now, a lot of them speak Spanish, I mean, I have no excuse. So I should at least have a solid idea of it.
And being in Miami, and I think you don't seem like the lazy type. So
I'm definitely not. I can gladly say that. No.
So honestly, you're going to see the benefit. It's just so beneficial because when I moved here from Brazil, Spanish was my second language. That was the second language that I learned because we used to live in California, and in California you either speak Spanish or you speak like Spanglish. You know, so
like every Spanish person in America, pretty much.
No, but in California, it's like, listen, you need to speak Spanish in California because it's California. Everybody speaks Spanish there, and I remember that was the first language that I learned in school, even. And it's not because it was taught; it was just because I was in ESOL classes, English second language, and everybody there spoke Spanish. You know, people from Honduras, people from Guatemala, like. Everybody spoke Spanish. And because I spoke Portuguese, it was just the natural progression. So in 6 months, my brother and I, we spoke Spanish and English because it was just what we did all the time because of school and because of our friends. And Portuguese, we didn't speak that much Portuguese aside from our parents and some friends because at that time, there were not that many Brazilians in LA. Now, there's way more Brazilians in Southern California. But at that time, it just wasn't. So we had to speak Spanish a lot more. And then the English, of course, because you're America. And then everything else came once I moved to Florida. So let me see. By the time I graduated, I had acquired the Italian, the French. And I love Italian and French way more than I love Portuguese.
My roommate's French, actually. Yeah.
I love. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's very cool. I wish I spoke Italian, and unfortunately, my father's Italian. I never met him, but I mean, I don't. He's not off the boat Italian. He's American Italian, so he probably doesn't speak it either, as far as I know. But I would love to know that language. It's so cool. No,
it is. It's absolutely beautiful, and there's nothing more than I love than like going to a little Italian restaurant, you know, mom and pops, and somebody's playing the little piano and then singing in Italian.
Portobello.
Exactly.
Portobello mushroom. And you're, the put and the pizza in the sauce in the and you're just like.
It's the beat. It's so soothing.
Ah, it's great.
It is so soothing.
Unless you have the short, chubby Italian guy with the mustache and he gets upset.
Well, unless you're talking about Sopranos and they're like yelling at each other because they're mad.
My favorite show. You saw the whole thing? You saw the whole thing? You didn't see the whole thing?
But
you have to watch the whole you got to watch the whole show.
Listen.
Okay.
I just recently started because when I first got here, I used to watch Friends and Seinfeld because that's how I learned English.
Oh, from those?
Yes.
Okay.
I would only watch this one soap opera in Spanish because it was Brazilian, and I didn't get to watch it in Brazil because my mom wouldn't let us watch it. So I was like, haha, now I'm in America, I get to watch it. But everything else was Friends, Seinfeld, and Frasier, and that's how I learned English.
Interesting.
It's pretty much all New York English, by the way, which I think is where my love for New York started.
It's so New York English is known across the world.
Yeah.
Mine isn't so thick.
It's not.
Some people, it depends on the words I say, but
say coffee.
Yeah, coffee. Coffee, walk, dog. Yeah, I don't say
Yeah.
coffee and talk. I say talk. So it's not like really thick. Look, I don't talk like this, but like it definitely has. I try to refine it. My grandmother has the thickest accent. She's gonna watch this episode. She has a classic Brooklyn voice. She says like, "You gotta go get the pizza. Where you going?" And I love it. And like everyone that comes over is like, she has the thickest accent, and she's a tough little woman with that New York attitude, and she just says anything that's on her mind.
And that's why I love New York.
Yeah. So that's something I'll always love about New York. The straightforwardness. I brought that down with me. That doesn't stay there. Like that doesn't stay in New York. That comes with me. No way.
Cannot.
And it helps.
Especially living in Florida. Like it goes back to originality and getting out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
If that's part of who you are, and it's something that's not harming you, it's not harming others,
mm-hmm.
why change it to fit into what everybody else is doing? Everybody else is already doing it. Why do you need to do it too?
Yeah. I mean, there's
you know what I mean?
I agree. And there's so many New Yorkers that move here anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why the driving is insane. Because you have like...
I didn't want to say it, but yes.
Yeah, I think it's... and everyone has different speculations, but I think it's Miami drivers are stupid drivers. New York drivers are crazy, but not... I don't think New Yorkers are bad drivers. I think they're just nuts.
They're crazy.
And then Miami drivers just don't know how to drive. So, I mean, this is just a weird speculation.
Especially for rains.
I mean, it's just terrible.
When it rains, it's like everybody forgets how to drive. It's like, it is just water, guys.
Yeah.
If you just slow down a bit and pay attention to your surroundings.
Easy for me.
There should not be this kind of traffic jam.
Yeah, people bug.
At all.
And no blinkers. I am not an angry driver. I don't have road rage. But fuck.
Put your blinker on.
They don't do it. Like, I'm driving on the highway 70 miles an hour, and I love throwing out random names, and I always end up throwing out white guy names. But like Steven, Theodore, just juts into drives in. Yeah, he just flies merges into my lane, doesn't put on a blinker, and he's like, nee. And I'm just like, dude, you know. Yeah. And then he just goes on with his day. Like, put on the blinker. Literally half of the drivers here don't do it.
Oh, but it happens all the time.
Drives me nuts. Yeah. Well, what about
all the time?
In favelas, did they?
In favelas, you don't have that kind of problem because, first of all, it's not every favela that you can even drive into because the roads are too tight.
I'll be honest though, I really want to go to one.
Okay, so you can go to Vidigal, which is one that's more kind of touristy now. So it's not as crazy.
I really can't go to the one you're from. Like, they'll sniff me out and be like, yo, he's not.
You just can't talk.
Right.
Like, I can take you because
I just have to look scary enough, really.
No. First of all, the chain that you're wearing right now cannot wear that.
Oh, that I know.
Yeah. The shirt that you're wearing, the jeans that you're wearing, the shoes that you're wearing, you cannot wear that.
Okay, so here's one thing. I just want to say, I grew up in New York. I didn't grow up in a particularly poor neighborhood. My grandmother and I, we did not have money, just to be very clear. But I understand these things. I didn't grow up in this sheltered little environment. I've been to Israel. You know, I'm in the military. You learn these things. You understand that you can't just the social norms of the environment. I'm not going to walk into a poor neighborhood or more dangerous neighborhood with a necklace. I'm going to walk in with very subtle clothing. Exactly. I'm not going to look around like I'm a tourist with a camera.
Exactly.
You walk there like you live there.
You literally have to walk there like you own the place.
Yes.
And it's funny because people used to tell me, like, Larissa, you're mean mugging all the time. And I was like, first of all, don't need that attitude. Second of all, when you grew up in a place like that, you know that you need to walk as if you got it all together. And they have to be more afraid to approach you than you are of walking where you're walking. And it was the same thing when I lived in New York. There are certain areas that I went to that literally I walked and you would think that I was 6 feet tall, because that is the vibe. That is the attitude.
There are bad neighborhoods in New York too.
Exactly. And it's till this day, whenever I go back to Brazil, it's almost like instantaneously when I enter the like aerial space, something just clicks. And it's like, nope, not today.
Yep.
Not today. Not today.
I'm putting background. I don't know what kind of background music I'm putting in the back there, but I'm putting something back there. You walk in, as soon as you get through the border of the favela, there's just this background music. Like 3 Brazilian guys just have these speakers, start blasting like this hardcore shit, and you're like,
literally. No, there's this perfect song which is literally called "Made in Favela," and that's literally you're setting that "Made in Favela." Yeah.
Okay, we're good. We're set.
And it's literally. People don't understand that half the battle is your demeanor. And by the way, this goes to anything in life.
Oh yeah, because it's about perception and like first impression.
It's
like if you claim to be some serious businessman that develops massive property, you build these, skyscrapers, and you show up wearing a shirt with flowers on it, and I mean, I guess at that point you can do whatever you want, but perception is important. So I don't think I don't think. And let me just finish this. I don't think it's about faking something.
Nope.
But you find that inner, I guess, lion or lioness when you need to.
Listen, I find that inner gangster in me whenever I need to.
Fuck yeah.
Like straight up. Actually, on my way here, I was in my car, and 95 was backed up because there was literally a warning saying "wrong way driver reported." Be careful.
Miami.
Okay. So I had to get off the highway and go through the inner streets to be back on 95. And as I was driving, I'm passing by this Lowe's. And this guy getting off of Lowe's tried to cut me off.
Hell no.
And I literally I braked right in front of him. And he's like starting to yell at me. And I kid you not, I looked at him, rolled down my window, and I was like, what's good, bro? What do you want? I'll get out of this car right now.
What'd he say?
He closed his window and shut up. Like, what are you going to do? Because this is the thing. Listen, it's not even a fake thing. I could take him down because I do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So
we're going to get into that.
I know.
We're going to get into that. There's a lot. We have stuff to talk about. But by the way, real quick, though.
Yeah.
But hold your thought. You got your thought? Okay. So for me, though, like, there have been times I've been really pissed on the road, but I don't know. When I have, like, a situation where, like, I don't know, I cut someone off or someone cuts me off, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I kind of just shrug it off.
It's different, bro. Because it was a red light. And I was stopped. And this man, like I said, today has been a long day. I've had so many clients. And this guy literally is looking at me, trying to mouth off to me. And he's like, oh, I'm going to call your boyfriend. And I'm like, you don't need to call my boyfriend. Please hold. I'm not even going to get down from my heels. I'm going to beat your ass with my heels on. Because it's like, at that point, you're mad disrespectful. When people cut me off, I'm like, honestly, I don't care. You probably have something in your mind. Something's going on. And I have my things going on too. But don't try to talk down to me. And just because I'm a chick in a car, I'm going to call your boyfriend. I'm going to call your mama, okay? That's who I'm going to call. Because I don't think you speak to her like that. And if she does, we got to handle this right now.
I feel like the guy in the car right now. Listen, I mean, take it easy, Larissa. I don't mean any harm. You're like, and I'm like, okay.
But that's the thing. It's not even a matter of faking it. It's like, listen, I'm a very balanced person. And I hate losing my temper because I know how aggressive I can get if I let myself get there. And I also understand that as far as temper is concerned and choices, it's always my decision of how far I'm going to go. So it's not really a matter of like, you are making me angry. It's I'm allowing you to get me out of my zone. And today I was like, bro, I'm allowing you to get me out of my zone right now because you just said that because I'm a chick, you're going to call my boyfriend to put me on check. Please hold.
I got this. You're like, I'll do this myself.
Please hold.
Is that what got you into? Is that what got you into jiu-jitsu? Kind of that you kind of just wanted that outlet. Because for me, that's what it is. Because I'm a calm person, but I do find enjoyment in the aggressive side of things, and like I want to make that clear because people always misinterpret everything. I don't like violence. I like the notion that as human beings, we have a primal nature.
Oh, absolutely.
And I like to tap into that because this is a dog-eat-dog world.
Absolutely.
And I want to be able to understand. So there's a guy, Jordan Peterson. You ever heard of him?
I don't think so.
So he's fantastic. And I don't want to say something he didn't say, but it's something along the lines of, well, he did say the most attractive men are men who are protective and safe and disciplined, but dangerous.
Absolutely.
So, and there was also another video I watched where good leaders, meaning good, well-intentioned leaders, are not soft. They understand what a bad leader is, and they can match that.
Yes.
So when it comes down to go time, and some other leader is trying to wipe out his country, he's like, really now? You do well by me, no problem. But if you want shit to happen, shit's going to happen. So I think on an individual level, for instance, I love martial arts because if anything, you don't have to overcompensate. You know what you're capable of, and you never have to use it. You're not the person to go out and start something.
Yep.
But you know what you can do if you need to.
Absolutely.
And you might only need to do that once in your life, but that one time can save your life. It can save your children's life. It can save your husband's life.
Yes.
Your boyfriend. Like, you know what I mean? Even if he knows how to protect himself, he might not be looking. Someone might come behind a corner. Whatever it is, it's not even just about the idea of fighting. It's more about the discipline and confidence it gives you as a person.
Absolutely.
And I love that. I
because
love that.
It actually takes up, knowing how to overpower someone, takes a lot less discipline than having the knowledge and not doing it. Does that make sense? It's like this. When you learn martial arts, if you don't learn to control that within you and you're not disciplined enough, then it's just violence. But having the ability to literally knock someone out, but knowing how to control that and only tapping into that as a last resort, that's the beauty in the sport. That's the beauty in being able to literally obliterate someone, but choosing not to. You know?
Yeah, but I mean, it makes you 10 times more confident.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why when you mention the first part about what is attractive, right? Because there are people that they're just dangerous. You don't feel safe. You don't feel like it's okay to be around them because they have literally become a liability. Because any little thing, they want to throw fists, they want to throw hands, and it's just not safe. It's just straight up dangerous.
But what's funny is those people are usually never have, I would say, large majority of the time, those people have no martial arts experience.
Oh, no.
Because those are people
just talking about the brutes.
Right. Those people are just people who want to cause harm to people, and they're overcompensating for some other issue. Maybe they were hit as a kid, or they were bullied, or whatever it is.
Exactly.
And they just look for any opportunity to hurt other people.
To prove themselves.
But the best part is when they get their asses kicked by somebody who really, you know what I mean? When you have, like on YouTube, you'll have like this amateur boxer who just manages, who's better than the other amateur boxers, and then the pro walks in and knocks him the fuck out, and he shuts up, like he's done. And that's the best part. Probably when like someone else comes in and teaches him what's up. That's the best.
Well, because once again, for you to get to that level, it also takes humility. Just once again, just being able to do it doesn't mean you have to. Because sometimes you don't have to. Because now you understand that you don't have to prove anything to anybody. It all goes back to, bro, I'm living my life. I don't need to live yours. And I don't need to prove anything to anybody. Because a lot of times you'll be in situations that people are like, well, let's see what you can do. And I'm like, my man, you don't want to see what I can do. You might not wake up until tomorrow. But the reason why I got into jiu-jitsu, actually.
I was going to ask you that, too.
One of my bestest friends, we've been friends since we were 14. He introduced me to jiu-jitsu when I was 22. Mm-hmm. I had just came back from Bible school in California. I did a seminary for 2 years after college. And one day he was like, Larissa, you should come like train with us. Like, I just started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You should totally come. I think you're going to like it because, you know, you're kind of aggressive. So you should come. So I'm like, okay. So I go and I loved it because number one, especially being a woman in a male dominated sport, mm-hmm. It's already such an accomplishment. And to be able to keep at it. And honestly, when you first start, especially people look at me and they're like, oh, she's so little. She's so just small.
That's the beauty of it, though.
Exactly.
Because you underestimate people. It's the best
all the
part.
time. And in jiu-jitsu, it's so much more on the technique than your size. Mm-hmm. You know? So I started doing jiu-jitsu. I loved it. But then I tore my left ACL. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't row for a while. And it took me a while to get surgery. I would come back every now and then, but then it got worse. Finally, I had surgery. And then after that, I went back. And I was in law school, so I couldn't go all the time. So it was on and off until I was done with law school. And then I was able to focus more in it because it's something that, to me, it helps me relax. A lot of people, when they first start, they don't focus on their breathing. So they're just like, and you're dying, you're gassing out because you didn't control it. And it's funny because, especially now, people will row with me, even if they're bigger. And even if they can get like top position, you can get people so much more frustrated for the fact that you don't react the way that they expect people to react than if you're just like trying to muscle them and trying to do whatever. And to me, I just breathe. It's a great way for me to just breathe and think clearly. And I'm about to have my second ever competition at Pan Am's in Orlando.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
October.
Take him first. Do you take him first? You going in that? You're not taking third.
Listen,
you're about to beat that guy's ass in the car. You're not getting second place.
You know what I mean? I have to get first now because I'm on your podcast and people are going to hear this. So now I'm going to have to give
I also would love to put listen, I would also like to put it up. I mean, I think when you get first place,
I'll let
just
you know.
Okay, sounds good. Awesome.
So we're about to have this competition and so I have this tattoo mm-hmm. and it's a wolf. And it's the second tattoo that I ever got. And people are like, oh, why did you get a wolf? And if you look at wolves and if you know anything about wolves, they are pack animals. And usually lone wolves, they don't last very long because they depend on their pack. And it's not even like a codependency thing, but it's a matter of respecting each person's strengths and weaknesses. And to me, tribe, pack is something super important. For me, the people that are around me, the vibe is super important. Mm-hmm. And with the jiu-jitsu community, it's very much that. You have a pack. And I love that. I have my little pack. Oh, absolutely. Like, shout out to like Fight Sports Deerfield because that's where I train. I love training there. I love the vibe there. I love the feeling of community there. And it's just, you feel at home. And even though Saturday's open mats, you can almost be killing somebody and just going at it. There's just so much respect. Because, especially when you roll, you can't have an ego. Mm-hmm. Because the moment that your ego gets in, that's when you get hurt or you hurt someone else. But the moment that you put your ego aside, it is just respect. You respect the mat, you respect your opponent, and that's just what you do. Mm-hmm. You know, and to me, jiu-jitsu became even more significant, I think I would say in between 2017 and 2018, because I was married before. to my first husband, and he became extremely aggressive, and he was very abusive. And during that time, I would only feel safe when I was on the mat. And people are like, Larissa, but you could beat his ass. Like, you were...
Yeah,
like,
I'll be honest, I was thinking that.
Exactly.
How did you go? I mean, was that not something you did?
But that's the thing. And it goes into actually what I work a lot with today. In my practice, I work a lot with victims of domestic violence. Because most people have that same reaction. And that's the reaction that I used to have. I'm like, why don't you beat his ass? Or why don't you leave? Why don't you walk away? But most people that have not been in that situation do not understand the chemical rewiring that abuse does to a person. That outside, and we're talking earlier about what you see on Instagram. The pictures were beautiful. Everything looked great. When we were in public, everything was phenomenal. And I've always been that kind of wife that I will stick by you. Mm-hmm. And nobody could ever talk about you because you're my husband. And because I'm a pack girl, mm-hmm. I will beat anyone that comes against mine. Even if at home is a completely different story.
Wow.
So to reverse that chemistry in my brain was like too much money in therapy. But to get to that point that you are secure enough to know that what was happening was wrong. It was not justified because he was your husband. No, that was not love. Mm-hmm. No, that was not him showing you that he loved you and you had to learn a lesson. No, that was a sickness and you were a victim, mm-hmm. and now you're a survivor, and that is okay. And Jiu Jitsu helped me a lot to get that strength back and self-confidence back I remember...
Wow, that's so powerful, honestly.
A couple of years ago, I was out with my friends. Actually, my friends that live in Brooklyn right now, Monica and John. And my friend Alex, Chad, Olivia, we went out. We are friends since law school. And we're going out in Fort Lauderdale. And we're at this bar. And as we're getting out, this guy just picks a fight. He's super drunk. Mm-hmm. And security's like, listen, he is friends with the owner. He comes here every single day. He gets trash. He's going to cause a problem. It's just better for you guys to leave. So we're like, fine. We're leaving. And this guy literally beelines toward my friend. And I was like, bro, relax. Like, relax. And they're already walking ahead. I was trying to get my other friend that had stayed behind. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in the middle. And he's like, no, who do you think you are? And of course, he's drunk. By the way, he is definitely over 6 feet tall. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And he went to push me. And I'm like, this man is...
But
you're taller than me.
But in your mind, you were probably so excited because you're like, yeah,
so excited.
You're like, I get to do this. Because he gives you no other choice.
Exactly.
And you're like, yeah.
Exactly. So he tries to push me, mm-hmm. but I'm smaller than him. So I literally just go under his arm, mm-hmm. up to his neck, and I literally jump a guillotine on him. And I just like jump into the ground. And I just choke him.
You just put him on the ground and you choke him.
Yeah.
Wow. Good shit.
So...
It's amazing.
Jiu-Jitsu get me that confidence to... It's not even about the fighting. It's about...
By the way, you probably could have gotten that on video. You probably could have found...
As women... You're literally raised, well, at least when I was growing up, you're raised watching Disney movies, mm-hmm. which the older ones taught you that you're frail, you're fragile, you need Prince Charming to come save you. Mm-hmm. I mean, Cinderella. Wow, Cinderella, she was all like in the basement cleaning and being in servitude.
That's what it was back then.
But this is the thing.
Right.
When you understand on both sides, when you understand that, number one, there are still some women that expect that, like to be saved. Which, me personally, I don't agree with the notion of being saved. I believe in the notion of adding to. Mm-hmm. And when you see the notion of adding to, then... physiological traits, they kind of lose its glimmer, mm-hmm. Because to me, the more you get to know someone from the inside out, the more beautiful they literally become. And then there's some people, they are drop dead gorgeous. And the more they talk, the more you just want to punch them in the mouth. Because there's no substance.
By the way, that's a thing, and I'm going to upset people with this concept, but there's a big thing about people being overly attractive and not bringing much else to the table.
Yes.
That's a very common thing.
Yes.
And it's pretty frustrating because, I mean, I wouldn't say it's frustrating because it doesn't really affect my life. But you look at it sometimes and you're like, if you didn't have those good genetics, you would have to work a lot harder than you do.
Yes.
So just understand that, and those looks are going to fade one day.
Exactly.
Get a degree, find a thing that you enjoy, do something.
Yes.
Because those looks, you're not going to have that for the rest of your life.
Absolutely not.
So, and I'm not just talking about women here. I'm talking about men and women.
Yes.
There are plenty of men that just skate by because they're unbelievably attractive. I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, whatever works, right?
No, absolutely.
Whatever works. But like...
But understanding that, I think, plays a huge role. Because this is the thing. If I'm a woman and I am trying to choose a mate, and I'm like, oh, let me go for the most attractive guy. Okay. Please understand in your head coming into this that he might not be the smartest. So what is most important to you when choosing? Like, what is your non-negotiable? Is it the looks or is it the substance? Because once again, if the looks is what it does for you and you don't need it, girl, do what you gotta do. More power to you. Who cares? But if the substance is more important, then like I said, looks become kind of irrelevant. Like, man, if you can find a man that is good looking, has a job, and he also is smart as far as those criteria are concerned in that order, good for you. You just won the 1950s lotto. Okay.
Why 1950s? You just throwing it out there.
Well, because that's when people used to care about men making out the money in the household.
I mean, I would say this is also a controversial topic, and I haven't taken a what's the word? I'm losing the word. I haven't taken a survey on this, but I would say for the most part, a lot of men and women kind of like that old school structure.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'll tell you, for me, I love an independent woman, but I still like to feel like the man in a sense.
But that's the balance.
So, right. I'm just saying that's me. Like I want a strong woman who will tell me what's up, who will tell me if she's upset. I want a woman who speaks her mind. I don't want a woman who just does everything I say.
Right.
I'm not attracted to that. But at the same time, I want a woman that kind of sees me as her man, as opposed to like, it's not an inequality thing.
Right.
It's more of like, I want to feel masculine.
Yes.
So in a sense, I do see things differently because I'm not saying I disagree with you completely. Yeah. We might. But ultimately, yeah, there's some women who are like, you're not man and I'm woman, we're just people. And I'm like, I have a bit of I think differently. I do think there is an idea of masculine energy and feminine energy.
Absolutely.
Right. So that doesn't mean that, for instance, you do jiu-jitsu, I'm sure you can kick many dudes' asses.
And I can cook, and I can clean, and I can do laundry.
Okay, right.
And when people ask me, once again, for quote-unquote alpha female, for me, the biggest accomplishment that I want for my life is to be a mom. It's not to make $1 million. It's literally to be a mother. And that's why I said I don't believe in equality. Because in a way, and once again, mad alert, I do believe in certain gender roles. I don't agree with all of them, but there's some of them that I do address.
Yeah, you're gonna upset a shit ton of people.
Because
I happen to feel that way too. I think that there's a beauty to that. I think when we try to make men women and women men and all that, like, because like I say, I go back to saying I think most women are attracted to the idea of a man, right?
Yes.
And you know, for instance, I said this in a different episode. When you watch a show like Vikings or Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, right?
Spartacus.
A big attraction, and not just for women, but an attraction is that kind of medieval primal, men with swords and big muscles and hairy chests, and they're just, and they take over and conquer and whatever. That and it's funny because nowadays we would look at that as a terrible thing. It's not peaceful. We want more of this pacifist society.
But why are we so drawn to that? That's the
real
fuckery
question.
of all of it. And my answer is that by nature, when it comes down to all of it, when we cut the grass, as tough as a woman might be for you, for instance,
absolutely.
you still want to be that mother. So
Absolutely.
right. So like so that's why in a sense I think feminism has its pros, but when it starts to kind of take men and just shit on them constantly, I think they're missing the boat there.
Completely missing the boat.
And another thing I heard, I'm a big Joe Rogan fan, and he was discussing the idea that there are men that just try to attract women by claiming that they're feminists, but in actuality they become so female-like. Women don't find them attractive because they don't have their own opinion. They're just gonna say, "Oh well, Sally says it." Listen. There's nothing attractive about it.
Right. And it's the thing. And I think when we go back to like the balance, right? You want a woman that's independent, but don't take away my masculinity. What does that really mean? This is what it really means. When you watch the movie 300, that's what balance looks like. Okay? That is a badass king that will literally fuck you up 1-2, like no thought.
But current culture sees that as like the worst thing in the world.
But
yet that sells like crazy.
No. But then you look at the queen. Before he made his decision, he looked at her. He wanted her input.
That is so true.
He didn't just silence her because he was the king. And that's why she had the balls to say to this man that just like barged into their space, only real women give birth to smart men. Like only us give birth to real men, because the king knows his role and the queen knew her role. They knew their strengths, they knew their weakness, and they respect each other for it.
You couldn't have said. I couldn't.
You know what I mean? So it's not a matter of like, listen, I can kick ass any day of the week, but you best believe that if I go out to a restaurant and some guy try to like come talk to me and be disrespectful, I'ma give my man the first dibs on kicking his ass.
That's all I wanted to know.
You know what I mean?
That's all I was curious about.
Like,
your man's gonna be very happy to hear that. He's gonna be like, yeah. He's gonna be thrilled.
Because listen, I believe that I can, but there's something about wisdom and knowing when you should and you shouldn't.
Yeah, like for me, I would be like if the next girl that I'm dating, hopefully soon, if I know that she can fight or protect herself, but she gives me that ability, meaning she wants me to, because that's important to me. I want to be able to protect her. No, but as the man, I need to feel that.
Yes.
If that's taken away from me, I don't feel manly anymore.
Yes.
So I want her to be able to. Don't get me wrong. That's very sexy to me, but at the same time, I want to be able to do that. So like
Absolutely.
if she's just taking care of it herself while I'm there, it's like.
People, it takes away from a man being a man, okay? It just does. It just does.
We're
at the end of the
same
day.
page.
And also, for example, we talked about this earlier. I make my own money. You best believe if I want it, I got it. But when I'm in a relationship, I'm going to give you, once again, the first place. Like, do you want to pay for this? Like, you can do all of that. But also, I want him to feel comfortable enough that if he can't, he's not ashamed of telling me, baby, I don't get it today. Can you handle this? Because then there is this literal balance of him respecting the fact that any kind of relationship that we have is a choice. I don't have to be with you. You don't have to be with me. And once we choose to be together, we respect each other's abilities and we respect each other's weaknesses.
It's a great equilibrium.
You know?
That's a great balance.
And when you, like, he's an MMA fighter. And when we train, it's so funny because we no longer compete with each other. Because in the beginning, it was like a competition because I'm very competitive and he's extremely competitive. But now it's a matter of like respecting each other's abilities. He's a higher belt than me. I look up to him in his position because he is superior than me in that aspect. But then when it comes to like business and when it comes to like building something, he does look up to me because of what I have built so far. And there's no shame in not having the same strengths.
You both have your admiration for each other.
And that's the thing, admiration.
Would you say you'd be attracted to a guy who was lazy or didn't have like this thing that drove him?
Okay, lazy is where I draw the line.
Right. And I think and to be honest, I think that's most women. I think men are care less. For me, that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. I can't stand lazy. And I'm not going to say I don't have my lazy moments, but for the large majority of my day,
moments is different than life.
Yeah, no, I'm not a lazy person by nature, not at all.
You know.
So I think, most people are not attracted to that. Maybe if they're lazy, they want a lazy person subconsciously, but especially I think, and you're the lady here, so you tell me, that's a big no-no for most, because that equates to, he probably can't provide for me. I probably can't rely on him. Reliance. And then you worry that your kids might have the same problem.
Exactly.
And then you have that fight where you're trying to push the kids to get shit done. He's saying, oh no, tell your mom to relax, it's fine. And you have that rift. Whereas if you both were on the same page, your kids will become rock stars.
Exactly.
You know?
Absolutely.
I think that's key.
And what you said, the key thing is the reliance, because reliance is the base for everything else. The financial aspect, the kids aspect. If I cannot rely on you, okay, in the smallest thing, like for example, listen, I'm running late, I need to take out the trash, which is something so basic. But if you can't do that, and I have to constantly tell you about this one thing that to you it's just the trash, in a woman's brain, literally it translates as unreliable. You don't keep your word. I can't trust you. I can't depend on you. Oh my God, red flags. This is going to go down the shitter. You know, because for us, we, like the majority of women, or at least I can speak for myself, I pick up on the details. For me, consistency in your behavior is key, especially in the first 90-day trial period. I want to see your consistencies. And this is the thing too. If you don't do something, that is you being consistently inconsistent.
Consistently inconsistent, I like that.
Because a lot of people don't understand that lack of action also speaks volume.
Oh yeah, I'm a big proponent of that.
Oh,
and also,
yes.
I think also a lot of people that start out in relationships want their significant other to think they're perfect, and then once they get comfortable enough, that's where everything goes down the tube, because they're like, they're comfortable enough with me, now I can show them the real me. And then the real me is either someone who just constantly strives, or someone who's just like,
just coasting.
And I'm not, and like I said, I like to say these things because I truly believe them.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm someone who I can confidently say implements them on a daily basis. I couldn't care less if people are like, no, I think most people who know me would agree, and if they don't, fuck it.
Exactly.
Because I know what I'm going to do anyway. But ultimately, it's, you know, I'm 26, so sometimes I have these things where I'm like, I'm 26. Can I really go out and say that when I have so much more to learn? It's like, yeah, you know what, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much we talked about. But I think if I were to take anything away from this, there's so many things to take away from it, but balance is so important. And respecting.
Not only just balance, but we keep going back to the same point. Mm-hmm. You don't have to fit into the same box that everybody wants to be in. Because there's so many women that don't think like me. Mm-hmm. And a lot of women, and actually most women and most of my guy friends are like, Larissa, you think like a dude. And I'm like, no. I don't think like a male, because most males don't even think like I do. Mm-hmm. Because I truly believe in just not being in a box. I truly believe in not having to be what everyone expects you to be because of your gender, nationality, cultural background, your profession, your this, your that, and the other thing. I'm like, I don't care. Mm-hmm. Because those are just like aspects of my person, but they don't have to just put me in this little box. And it's the same with relationships. I mean, I'm not a jealous person. Mm-hmm. And people are like, you're Brazilian, how are you not jealous? I'm like, just because I'm Brazilian doesn't mean I have to be jealous. For me, the most important thing is respect. Mm-hmm. If I go out and somebody's hitting on my man, listen, props to you, girl. I'll be hitting on him too. You know, what I care about is how does he react?
Right.
How does he go about that? And once she knows he has a girl, what does she do? Because if both of them respect that information, then I don't need to put my hands on nobody.
I agree.
You know,
Yeah,
it's a matter of respect. And most people assume that because I'm Brazilian, because I'm Latina, because I'm an alpha like female, I'm this like, and I'm like, no, because or else I'll have to be on Xanax all the time. And I don't want to. So I choose to have a conscience that goes beyond my little bubble. And I choose to like, bro, listen, you've been cheating. You want to go ahead and cheat? That's your problem. Literally, it is your problem, not mine.
I mean, you wouldn't be hurt by that.
This is the thing.
It's
and
not.
this is
It is
crazy.
no, but it is not. I personally, thank God, I have no experience with that.
I have.
Right. So
I have been cheated on.
Right. So I can happily say I've never done it, and I strongly believe it's never happened to me. So I don't have. Yeah, I really don't. The girls I've dated were really good people, and I can't imagine that happened. But so I don't. I personally don't have the experience.
I believe in being straightforward. Guess what? I'm a alpha female. I have my own business. I run shit. But guess what? When I come home, I don't want to make decisions. I don't want to decide. I hate when guys are like, what do you want to eat?
Yeah.
Let me tell you a secret.
No woman wants that.
Okay?
No woman wants that.
I don't want to make a decision. And if you really want an input, give me two choices. Don't give me the world.
When I go to a restaurant and I'm dating somebody, I always kind of like want to cut the menu in like 1/4, so there's only like 3 items, and then I'm like, all right, go get the fish. Perfect. Like, yeah, most
and
women want that.
I love when a guy like, I'm like, oh baby, like I want to eat this, but I don't want to tell the waitress that I wanted that. I want you to tell the waitress what I want, and I want you to order my wine too, or my caipirinha. I don't know, surprise me. And it goes back to like, no, I don't feel less of a woman if I don't pick where I go eat, or if I don't pick my food. No, I actually feel cared for as a woman if my
That's the
man
thing.
knows me enough to pick what I want to eat.
I think the most alpha women in a funny way like to be, have a man make decisions at some points.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Please, dear God,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
exhausted.
That's it.
I
That's
am
it.
exhausted. When I get home, you know what I want to do? I want to wash my dishes. You know why I want to wash my dishes? Because it requires 0 brain power. Okay? Guess what? When I get home, I want to just cuddle up to my big man and just let him take care of me for those like, and it does not make me feel any less independent.
There's a comedian, Ali Wong. I don't know if you ever heard of her.
I love Allie.
So she literally describes you.
Allie.
She describes
Yes.
you.
Yes, I do not want to lean in. I want to lay down.
Yeah,
okay?
she describes you to a
Right.
T. You're the woman she explains when she talks about it.
Yes, I totally agree with her when she talks about, women really messed this up. You guys wanted independence and all this. And I'm like, dude, they literally used to pay our bills. I just had to stay home.
That's the negative to the feminist thing, is that like you take away from that where like men are kind of just like, they're not men anymore, and then it's ironic because those men never really get any anyway. Like they have no choices, and they think that they're joining the reform.
You're
but
not.
But those men are just being shoved to the side, and the old school men are the ones that the women are still going after, because it's always, no matter how many reforms and changes and this and that, and it's not that there aren't good things that came out of it,
No,
but when you
absolutely.
try to take away from the idea of a masculine man, a woman by nature is still going to go to that mascult man at the end of the day.
It's a biological
Oh, yeah.
response. It's
That's
not
it.
only that, it's a hormonal response, okay? Pheromones and all. Please look it up, all right? Because at the end of the day, seriously, people, seriously, I'm thinking to myself, listen, there is a beauty, once again, in being able to, but not having to. It does not make me any less. And the same for men, because I think that the feminist movement came from maybe a thought that men just thought that women had to just bear children. Like, you're only good for that. But then at the same time, when men respect women's ability of just being like, whatever it is, listen, guess what? Men cannot have babies. And I don't have a dick. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, that's
That's just the bottom line. Doesn't matter how many dildos I buy. It is just not the same. It's just not. I'm sorry. It's just not, okay? And for me to just want to fight this battle about like equality, I'm like, listen, it is not equality that I'm after. I want to be respected in my capacity, in my strengths, and in my weaknesses. I want to be respected. I want to be respected for owning a law firm, but I also want to be acknowledged and respected to the fact that, listen, if I roll with a 200-pound man, he's most likely going to overpower me because I'm smaller, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. This idea that I have to like fight with the guy to be the same as he, I'm never going to be the same. And I don't want to be the same. I don't want to be the same as a dude. I have no intentions, even in like anything, because once again, I believe that even being a woman, I can still be successful within my realm, within my thing. As an immigration attorney, I believe that I can be just as successful as a male immigration attorney. Because, listen, in this situation, anything that you can do, I can do better. Yes. Like, I believe in that competitive, in that sense. I can totally strive to match you in that round because that's my thing too. But as far as everything else, I'm like, bro, I just don't care. I just don't care enough to have my man like stay at home and raise my kids. No, I don't want my man to stay at home and raise my kids unless that is something that literally we sat down and we agreed upon for whatever reason between the two of us. But I don't want you to just come into a relationship and be like, yo, ma, I don't do anything.
I mean, you're not gonna. Most women probably not attracted to men who take care of their kids. There's someone that it happens. It happens that way, but I think the majority don't want it that way.
Because there's something about there's something about a guy that will literally tell me, call me on my bullshit. Because listen, being alpha and all, I can run my mouth all day.
Yeah, it's tiring after a while, huh?
But it takes a real man to come to me and be like, bullshit. I respect the shit out of that. I respect a man that'll be like, no. Say no to me.
That's what every woman wants.
Like, say no.
Yeah.
But then,
so true.
Like, tell me why you're saying no, because then number one, I at least have the floor to explain to you why I'm thinking this way, and we can have a conversation and then make a decision. But I don't want a yes man.
No.
And I don't want to be shut down either. You know what I mean?
You want the balance.
Respect. Yeah. It all comes down to respect.
Well, Larissa, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
It's been a long talk, and you had a lot to say, and I'm glad to have given you that platform.
Thank you so much.
I hope you had a good time.
Absolutely. You're a funny guy.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I try. So, without further ado, we're going to wrap things up today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming. Hopefully we can do another episode in the future.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Due to Jackie. All props go to Jackie.
And the amazing, I've only met Jackie once.
Really? Yeah, she said with the dancing.
Yeah, because I love dancing.
She's really great. So, yeah, that's awesome. So, guys, tune into the next episode. I'm your host, Rafi Pinsky. Until next time.